Welcome, folks. I'm Jaby Koay, joined by ACHARA KIRK.
What's up?
We've got a heavy spoilers video here called Spider-Man No Way Home Official Trailer Breakdown, Easter Eggs Explained, and Things You Missed. Thank you, Heavy Spoilers, for allowing us to react to this. And I saw your little cameo in my brother's video. I thought that was awesome.
It was so cool.
For those who don't know, the real Rejects is my brother. Well, Greg Alba is my brother, so.
John's your brother from another mother.
John is, well, I've known him since he was a little kid, so that counts for something. Here we go.
Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, aka your friendly neighborhood spoiler man, and Spider-Man No Way, the trailer has been released. After 84 years, we have our first full look at the movie, and in this video we're going to be breaking down the Easter eggs, things you missed, and discussing all the plot points and comics that it pulls from. It's been living in my head rent-free like Peter Parker, and I'm so hyped to talk about it, so let's just get into it. Now we start off with Peter and MJ sitting on a rooftop. This is something that has happened at several points in the comics and films, and I got a lot of vibes here of the original Spider-Man 3, in which the pair both sat stargazing. We learn that this is in the aftermath of Peter's identity being made public, but looks like at this point that he's managed to clear his name, even if everyone now knows it. MJ is reading a newspaper from the New York Post and not the Daily Bugle, as we learn that in the MCU it was an Alex Jones-esque show rather than a publication.
Yeah.
On the front cover it reads Peter Parker and his Spider Minions, with him puppeting people, showing that the media is still sort of trashing him, even though he saved the city and also the universe. Gonna put
So
some
ungrateful.
dirt in their eyes, and it also shows that those around him have been pulled into it too, which we'll talk about later on in the video. Now MJ reads one of the passages out about how some suggest Parker's powers include the ability to hypnotize females. Whilst this is thrown away as a little joke, it actually foreshadows the big reveal in the trailer, in which Peter asks Strange to pretty much hypnotize the entire world into forgetting that he's Spider-Man. Peter just wants to stay up there forever, and then we cut to him and MJ swinging through the streets of New York in the aftermath of the post-credits scene from Far From Home. Peter's face is blown up all over Times Square, with the mask superimposed onto one side. This iconography pulls from the comics, namely when his spider senses set off, and it's also very similar to some of the promo material, which showed his face split between strangers. We later see a shot in which people swamp him at a subway entrance, and judging by the location of this shot, I would say that this is how the movie opens. The street sign says West 33rd Street, which according to Google Maps is opposite Pennsylvania Station, which is where Peter was at during the post-credits scene of that movie.
Wow, that's some deep research. That's some deep research.
Well, I mean, anyone who lives in New York would probably know that already, but that's still like really cool research to be able to connect the dots like that.
And be like, oh yeah, look at that. He was just by Penn Station.
I mean, this trailer just dropped.
I know.
As of this recording.
Super impressed.
I'm kind of amazed at how he was able to piece all this together. I'm imagining that maybe he possibly looked at something. But who knows? I don't know. This is conjecture.
Yeah.
We know of the film, the opening is very much going to be in the same vein as John Wick 3, and it'll see Spider-Man being chased across New York as this revelation breaks the internet. We cut to him in the police station trying to explain the drones, and how they are what killed Mysterio, even though he was put in charge of Edith. Peter also sits with handcuffs on, which reminds me a lot of Man of Steel when Superman was being interrogated. He could clearly snap out of them in a second, but he's left them on for appearance's sake. Now there's a guy who slams down some papers in a split-second shot.
There is an assumption that is Matt Murdock. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
How do you know this?
So let's see what he says.
And it looks a lot like Matt Murdock from the shirt to the tie. We do know that Charlie Cox will be in the movie, and this is a blink and you'll miss it moment.
Really?
That I'm 99% sure is him. The 1% is because I asked a mate who said it definitely wasn't him, so tell him.
Just because of the way his body looks, I'm like, that can't be Matt Murdock. Matt Murdock is a smaller dude.
He's more trim, right?
He's fit. That guy is...
Yeah. Maybe there's a bunch of air inside his shirt, you know? And it's been COVID.
I've experienced that.
It's like, it's not flub, it's air.
Him to shut the hell up in the comments if he's wrong, because I bloody hate the guy for disagreeing with me. Now we cut to him and MJ reading their phones, which clearly have headlines and reports about the revelation. I love how this and the opening of the trailer are pretty much them obsessing over the news reports, and it shows how much it being out there has completely dominated their lives. Peter wanting to just stay on the roof away from everyone shows how much he feels deep down that it's changed things for the worst, and it nicely sets up the actions that he takes. Also, I love how MJ has sketches of people hanging above her bed, and this is something that she of course did during detention in Homecoming. Next we get what is clearly a flashback, in which the character likely handed himself in or was taken to court. We see someone has a sign that says Devil in Disguise and Mephisto confirmed. Now here he's joined by Ned, MJ, and what I think is Flash Thompson, who has dyed his hair blonde. In the comics, the character was blonde, and it's nice to see him supporting Peter. Flash was obviously a massive Spider-Man fan, but ironically, he hated Peter and also bullied him. The reveal has obviously changed things, and it will be interesting to see if reversing this knowledge turns him back into being a baddie. Next we cut to what I believe is immediately after the events of Far From Home, in which both Peter and MJ are getting followed through New York. From here we jump to him in school, and bruh, I cannot believe he went back there. You know what, I'm somewhat of an idiot myself, and I definitely wouldn't be returning there, mate. Steer clear. Now we can also see the back of some Letterman jackets, and Ned could be caught wearing one of these in the recently released Funko Pop pics for the film. The M on it likely stands for Midtown High, which is what Peter attended in the comics. Spoiler alert. Now we see Peter and May sat in their apartment, and from this shot I almost get the feeling like someone has walked in on them from the way that she sits up.
Oh yeah.
Peter says that this isn't about him, it's hurting the people he loves, and as Batman said, the mask is to protect those around you. Now this might be pulling slightly from the Civil War comic, as that had Peter revealing his identity to the world in order to show that the Superhuman Registration Act was something worth doing. Peter was very much the eyes and ears of the reader, and over time he changed his mind and went on the run. His arc actually ended with Aunt May getting shot, which plays into the One More Day storyline that we'll talk about in a bit. Either way, you very much get the idea that the reveal of his name has led to people around him being put in danger, and it'll be interesting to see if they lean into what happens with May in that, especially as we don't really see her in the rest of the trailer.
Okay, that shot that he's talking about, where the camera's coming in from someone's POV, Peter Parker's spider senses aren't going berserk in that moment. So I don't imagine whoever's walking in is anyone bad. That's all I can get from that shot.
Oh, yeah.
Is that it's someone like, it might be Happy.
Yeah.
Someone that he already knows, that is familiar.
Maybe.
That's my guess.
But that is interesting, this whole thing about, the repercussions that come with people knowing your real identity.
Yeah.
Because then everyone around you is at risk now, because any baddie can just come over and be like, I found your name on Google.
Right.
Now I'm going to kill your family.
Yeah.
Now along with May, Ned too gets questioned by the police, and it's clear that a lot of people want to know when the announcement that Toby and Andrew are in the movie is going to drop.
Yeah.
Just tell us, yeah? Just tell us and there won't be a problem.
Hey.
Now from this trailer, we can also confirm that the film will be spanning a lot of seasons, as we catch Peter in a classroom with Halloween decorations hanging up. Cut back to when he and MJ were sat in their room, and we could see Christmas lights.
Oh.
We also know from behind the scenes videos that Peter is going to be in the snow at some point, so I would say that this movie takes place over at least the span of 6 months, judging from when Far From Home happened and the decoration around the sets.
Interesting.
Now hilariously, Pierre comes up with the idea to go and see Doctor Strange by looking at the hanging wizard lights that are in the aforementioned room. He journeys to the Sanctum Sanctorum, which we can see covered in snow.
Yeah.
Now why this likely is because Bruce Banner blew a big hole in the roof during the opening of Infinity War.
Yeah.
Right after this, Strange was at the very least snapped away, and the fact that it took a while to get it fixed might confirm that Wong was too. During this time, the elements have taken over, and we can now catch him shoveling snow. But bro, thought you could use magic. Bro, you set a fireplace on fire, bro. Just melt it. And do that thing you did in Endgame. Just do that with the water. Now Strange and Peter have a nice little back and forth in which they talk over what to address each other as.
It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense that they couldn't fix this with a little bit of abracadabra.
Like Harry Potter style.
But it gives it a more discernible look from the other films.
That's true. That's true.
It's fine.
This of course plays on the first time that they met, in which they used their made up names. Strange's mug says for fuck's sake, which sort of makes me think he's thinking that, seeing Peter show up on his doorstep. Anyway, the webhead has one request, and that is to remove the knowledge from everyone's head that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Now, as mentioned earlier, this is clearly pulling from the comic book storyline One More Day.
Did you notice the black suit, by the way?
Yeah.
In that shot? I noticed it. I noticed it, and I was like, oh my God, the black suit. But it was an explosion in my head because the trailer's moving along. I don't have time to think about that. I'm like, oh, there it is. Like the all the breakdown videos have been saying. That was crazy.
Yeah.
In which he went to Strange in order to help save Aunt May. Strange even lived in a run-down and boarded up Sanctorum during this, and he helped him to travel through multiple timelines so that he could see if there was anyone who could help. Unfortunately, everyone said that there was nothing they could do, and thus he ended up turning to Mephisto. Now this idea of travelling through timelines could potentially be seen in the trailer, as Peter asks if he can go back in time or something, and Strange levitates at one point in a position that looks similar to what he did in Infinity War. Now if we are right with this, then it clearly doesn't work, as Strange has to carry out a different spell, and as Endgame showed us, all that travelling back would do would be to create a branched reality. In the comics, no one was able to help Peter, and he ended up making a deal with Mephisto, and along with bringing May back, he also removed the knowledge from everyone's mind that Peter was Spider-Man. This was so that people wouldn't come after May again, and in exchange for doing this, Mephisto made it so that Peter and MJ never got married.
Aww.
The fact that Strange is the one carrying out the spell, and not the devil who's always in the details, makes me think he won't actually be showing up in the MCU for a long time. Yes, I know it was obvious. I was just holding out hope that one of the fan theories would be right, and everything I said in WandaVision wasn't for nothing. Now in between this scene, we hear Peter explaining to Strange why it's really important that this happens, and amongst the shots are him getting swamped, which we talked about earlier. Jump to Wong, who warns Strange not to cast the spell, and he promises not to, even though he gives Peter a cheeky little wink. Interestingly, Wong packs his bags and leaves, and from what we've seen of the Shang-Chi trailer, this might actually be him going off to fight the Abomination. Kevin Feige has confirmed that he is indeed
You didn't know that?
No, I what?
What?
That he goes off to fight Abomination? No, I knew that.
No,
I'm
but like
saying
you didn't make the connection
No, I
when
didn't.
he left?
No, I didn't.
Like I was immediately like, oh, he's walking off Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh, I was slow on that part.
Right
yeah.
onto Shang-Chi,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was slow on that part, yeah.
I like that we kind of watch him walking off whilst this happens. Now if you're enjoying the video so far, then I'd massively appreciate the thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe as we do breakdowns like this each and every day, and it just makes Spider sense to stick around. That rent-free like Peter Parker joke, yeah? That deserves a thumbs up at the very least. You know it does now. Now anyway, back to the trailer, and we watch Strange use one of Peter's hairs in the Men in Black Memory Eraser spell. Clearly something like this is needed in order to tie a spell to someone, and the character pinched some hair from Thor in Ragnarok before sending him and his brother off to meet Odin. Now if you've been following the channel, then you'll know we talked about this moment in our last plot leak video, and it looks like Peter interrupting the spell is what causes reality to break open. He doesn't want his girlfriend or people like May to forget he's Spider-Man, and thus he knocks Strange's concentration off slightly in order to stipulate this.
So here's the question, and someone asked this in the comments, and I thought about this as well. Like, why not just be like, okay, cool, you can erase everyone's memories, then when everyone's memories is erased, then just do the reveal all over again. Surprise!
Because he experienced an entire relationship that MJ won't remember. The thing about it is, Peter Parker, it's well established Peter Parker's a young dude, and he's gonna have a young dude sensibility about him, and he's not thinking 4 steps ahead of like, oh, I could just do this. He's thinking in the moment. He's very impulsive.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But obviously if he did that, then there would be no movie, right?
Yeah. So while we're on this pause real quick, I want to throw out a theory. I'm wondering, and this is just me like glancing at the teaser trailer, I'm wondering if he has to face off a version of Doctor Strange in this movie on the train, because there was a moment where Doctor Strange was like manipulating stuff on the train around him.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, it's like, is he fighting Doctor Strange, or are they fighting someone else together? I couldn't really tell. Anyway, I
that's
hope,
an interesting theory.
yeah, I hope he talks about it.
Earlier in the trailer, Peter does say that he feels bad about lying to MJ, so it does make sense why this would suddenly spring to mind. Now if Toby and Andrew are indeed in the film, which worst kept secret of all time, then this moment could be a callback to the Happy Birthday storyline. In that, Dormammu attacked New York, and Doctor Strange cast a spell which Peter interrupted. This split open time itself, and he was able to view a future version of himself as well as a past one. He was able to interact and change events, so we might even see a moment in which Peter stops the broadcast with Mysterio. Either way, the spell seemingly works, but we also get what looks like a rainbow bridge amongst it being cast over the world. This effect is typically shown when someone is traveling through the Bifrost, so maybe at this point a villain comes across the multiverse and into the MCU. Weirdly, this effect was actually used in a number of fake fan-made trailers, so give yourself a pat on the back if you did that. You spoiled the trailer and you got it right. Well done.
I was actually thinking about that. That was an interesting connection. I should have thought about that, the Bifrost. But
I thought about that.
I was thinking more about the timelines, the splitting timelines at the end of
as
Loki.
well. Yeah, it was a little bit of both for me. It was kind of like the rainbow definitely made me think of the Bifrost, but like you said, you know, that splitting of timeline, Loki-ness, everything's coming together.
Yeah.
Now, there are several villains that I counted in this first look, or at least teasers to them.
See?
This is obviously the
Like,
first
I don't know
look.
what he's doing there.
Sony don't want to blow their load.
he's protecting
but from
him.
what I saw and what we know of the film, the rumors and reports are true. It's true. All of it. Now, the first big one is, of course, Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus, who arrives at the end of the trailer and says, "Hello, Peter," during one of the many quick cuts. That was a really bad... I should have re-recorded that, but we're moving on. Now, Molina has pretty much taken the mantle of the spoiler man from Tom Holland, and he's been out and about telling us everything that happens in the movie. According to him, we see a scene in which an alternate version of the character at the end of Spider-Man 2 is pulled across the multiverse through a portal. If you cast your mind back to that film, the villain died after drowning a miniature son in the Hudson, and it's possible that when this collapsed that it pulled him across. Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin is also teased when a pumpkin bomb rolls towards the screen. We've been saying for months now that he's in the film, and that he will end up forming the Sinister Six. We also see some electrical sparks, and know from Jamie Foxx that he will be reprising his role as Electro, though his costume will be different. At the end of The Amazing Spider-Man, Fox was overcharged, and he was seemingly killed, though they may explain that this sent him off into an alternate reality. Peter's black and gold suit has been heavily shown in the toys and promotional material, and judging by the circuitry on it, this will be used to fight the electrical enemy. Now, they may pull from this, they may not, but from what I've been told, the majority of the characters are what-if versions in which their arcs differ slightly, so if you still like the versions from the original films, then that isn't going to be ruined for you. We also see a pile of sand rising up in the trailer, as well as the lizard from The Amazing Spider-Man 2 jumping up at Peter whilst it's in a glass prison. Now, I will be doing some minor spoilers here, just talking about the context of this shot from what the leaks say, but I know some of you don't want to know anything, so if you don't want this ruined, then swing out of the video.
Do you want to keep going?
Yeah, I'll just be providing info on the scenes and nothing really beyond that. As always, take these with a pinch of salt, as they might not come true, but the trailer does line up a lot with what I've been told, so you have been warned. Now, Strange apparently imprisons the villains in this after they cause chaos across New York. Whilst he tries to figure out a way to send them back, Willem Dafoe's Norman Osborn shows up to ask about their lives, and they say the last thing they remember was Spider-Man. Unable to free them because of the powerful magic, Osborn goes to Peter and pleads with him to help out, and he tells him that these characters will die if they're returned home. He also says that the Peter of their world was there when they passed away, and Tom Holland's version is racked with guilt because he could potentially be sending them back to their deaths. So he breaks into Strange's prison and steals a magical cube that's holding them in place. We see this in the trailer, and Strange supposedly chases Peter across New York in the mirror dimension. This is why we get a big chase scene, and also see the city folding in on itself at one point like Inception. The effect, of course, appeared in the first Doctor Strange movie, and it's going to make for an amazing scene. From what we get in the trailer, it looks absolutely outstanding. I think it's going to blow a lot of people's minds watching this in IMAX. There's also a big chase on a train, and it's clear that Strange doesn't mind throwing everything he can, including Uncharted 2 directly at him, in order to stop him breaking the multiverse. Strange clearly catches up to Peter at one point, and he pushes his astral projection out of his body.
So you're right, Doctor Strange is fighting Spider-Man, but it's not necessarily like a variant of him. It actually is him. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what
he's
saying.
The Ancient One did to the Incredible Hulk. Now, from what Strange says about double lives, I kind of get the feeling that Peter might actually be attempting to flip back and forth between MJ knowing who he is and also forgetting. Potentially the spell broke reality, and him constantly doing this might be why Strange says the things that he does about living two lives. You also see what could potentially be Miles Morales' mother, and if you cast your mind back to the title reveal, you'll remember that the surrounding lines looked a lot like the island Puerto Rico, so it could be teasing his introduction here.
Oh, wow.
The shots include the upgraded Iron Spider suit, which carries a slightly different design to what it had in Infinity War.
That's actually, I mean, this would be the perfect movie to do it on.
Yeah.
I mean, when we got introduced to him in the cartoon, it was in this like kind of multiverse sort of thing. Anyhow.
Exactly.
So makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah.
To me, this looks more in line with the Civil War version that was in the comics, but they've also made it at least line up with what's come before. Now, if we look at the Happy Birthday storyline, it actually culminates with Peter fighting his entire Rogues Gallery across a number of timelines. This obviously lends itself to the concept of No Way Home, and I would definitely recommend checking out that book if you want some comics that the movie will probably pull from. At the end of it, Strange gives Peter Parker a present, and he opens it to find that it actually brings Uncle Ben back to him for a few moments.
Oh, wow.
The pair talk about Peter's life and have a really amazing conversation that will bring tears to your eyes. No, not me though. I'm solid as fuck me. Now, another interesting aspect of the novel is that it ends with Doctor Strange realizing that by breaking the multiverse, he's caused a lot of problems in the magical world. It very much teases that he'll be facing off against several sorcerers, and potentially this could be what happens with Wanda. It was said that Loki, No Way Home, and In the Multiverse of Madness will all be part of the same storyline. I think it makes a lot of sense judging from the way that the comic ends that he'll be going toe to toe with her. Though we don't know for definite whether Wanda's gonna be a villain, I actually think that she will, and yeah, I'd love to see the Scarlet Witch go head to head with Strange.
Oh.
That would be epic.
Now, as for the first look as a whole, it's got me really excited for the film. I genuinely think this movie will do big numbers at the box office, and had the pandemic not been in the way, I would have estimated that this could have come very close to the 2 billion mark. Marvel and Sony weren't kidding when they said that this would be Tom Holland's Endgame, and it's the culmination of several franchises and films that started out 20 years ago. There's a lot resting on its shoulders, but I fully trust everyone on board with the project to deliver something big and bombastic. This is definitely the best movie since Endgame for me, and outside of the Batman, there's nothing that I'm as hyped for. It's gonna break the internet, and might even break Christmas if they manage to pull it off, and it also releases then. The first look was a testament to that, and I am very hyped for it right now. To me, this did the perfect job of being a first trailer, as it didn't go too over the top in completely spoiling everything, and it just teased some of the bigger elements that will be happening in the movie. However, it also gave us enough info on what the story could be, so that we can go wild with fan theories, and yeah, I'm just so hyped after checking out this first trailer for the film. The action is great, the soundtrack is great, the ominous feeling and be careful what you wish for tone works really well, and it reminds us that Peter Parker never has it easy. Overall, I'm super hyped, and yeah, December can't come soon enough. Now, obviously, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the trailer, so make sure you comment below and let me know.
That was fun.
That was really fun.
Yeah.
And like you said, it did a really great job, actually, because, you know, right off the bat, it starts off and it kind of tells you the setting, like the story and everything, and then it teases the cool villains and things that might happen. So yeah, as a teaser, and it was long as well. Geez, 3 whole minutes, but you know, it just kind of gives you a good taste.
The thing about it is, normally you get a trailer way sooner than this. It's like, it's 4 months away. And so they have to give something substantial.
This was really good. What else are they going to show us next? Are they going to tease us with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, or is that going to be left to be a surprise? Although everyone is basically saying like they're in the movie.
Right. Well,
you know?
It seems like so many of the theories have been proven correct.
Yeah.
Just in this teaser alone, I'm like, oh wow. Like, so everything we've been watching, it's like it's all coming to life. How are they going to make this a 2-hour movie? That's the bigger question there.
Does it have to be a 2-hour movie? I mean, like Endgame was 3 hours. We can sit there for 3 hours breathing in the Rona particles.
Right?
I
don't think this is going to be a 3-hour movie.
No.
I think at most it'll be 2.5 hours. Yeah.
That's all right.
When you're jumping around between dimensions and whatnot, maybe it makes sense that you can still get it in 2.5 hours.
Well, yeah, especially if you get everyone coming together as opposed to like hopping across different universes or different realities.
That's the complete antithesis of what I said. But either way, I mean.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. This is all conjecture. I'm happy. I'm just happy with the teaser. I don't actually have a whole heck of a lot to say other than I'm excited and I'm happy. There hasn't been this much excitement around a commercial since like Avengers, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, I think saying that this is Tom Holland's Endgame is very apt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that this is happening during pandemic, but like, I feel like it's still going to perform exceptionally well. I'm definitely going to want to watch it in IMAX for sure. I mean, it's just a huge visual spectacle on the same level of Doctor Strange. That's insane. Like,
yeah, and that was like that's your favorite Marvel movie, isn't it?
That's my favorite. Yeah, so that's why I'm just like happy. I'm speechless. One of the things that made me happy about this was that he was giving you research if you wanted to do it, like, comic books you can look at, because like I'd like to dive in to learn more about that stuff before the movie comes, because it's like something's got to hold me over until the film comes out. My biggest hope is that, I mean, Marvel has had a really, really good track record, obviously.
Yeah.
And so my biggest hope is that this isn't just like a complete mess. You know what I mean? Because
Fingers
of
crossed,
everything
yeah.
they're doing, it's just like this overpowered movie. It's going to be the biggest Spider-Man movie ever made. And so my big hope is that it's just cohesive narratively and you're able to follow it and it's not just a fustercluck.
Well, yeah, and Paul here from Heavy Spoilers is going, this is going to be the best movie since Endgame. I'm like, dude, hold your horses.
Right.
Like, don't say anything just yet, you know, like, don't jinx it. Just go watch it first. And then you can say that this is going to be like your favorite movie in the whole world ever. But it is looking really good.
Yeah, it's looking
I'm
fantastic.
very, very excited and optimistic.
I mean, the latter half of the year is looking to be extremely stellar.
Yeah.
I mean, like between Eternals and this, I'm like, I can't take it. So thank you, Kevin Feige. You guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Thank you to Heavy Spoilers for not only putting out this video, but allowing us to react to it. Very much appreciate it. And check out ACHARA KIRK on the social media. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon, all notifications. I'm Jaby Koay. This is
ACHARA KIRK.
Peace out.